Hello and welcome to the garden on what is a really scorching day. So we're going to have good weather now, I think, for a few days, and we're going to make the most of it and lift our shallots. So I already lifted one batch of shallots a couple of weeks ago. That was the grey shallot, and this is our, let's say, ordinary shallot, Longue de Bretagne. And I think these are ready now. There's a chance that the weather could change towards the end of the week, and I want to get these up and start them drying right now. So the foliage is flopped over, and I think the bulbs are pretty big, and I think at this stage they're really not going to be growing at all. So whilst I could leave them in the ground for that foliage to die back and dry off, I think I'd rather lift them now, clear this space, get ready for some new plantings and set these out to dry. The shallots tend to be pretty good for bolting. These were planted in the autumn, but I don't normally get them run to seed. But this year, quite a few of them have. And I think that was due to that really cold snap we had in the spring, and that's encouraged these to flower. So that's a little bit annoying, but the one good thing is it's very easy to tell which ones have bolted because they are still upright. That flower spike is so robust that those aren't flopping over, so it's very easy for me to pick those out to use them first. I mean, you get two problems with that flower spike. The first is that the bulbs will not store well. The second problem is that the start of that flower spike goes right through the center of the bulb, and that can be really tough. The overwintered onions, I think the majority of those, maybe, I don't know, 8 or 9 out of 10, they went to seed, and that flower spike in the bulb was rock hard. I mean, you can't use it at all. So you have to cut that out entirely. So I want to know which are which here. So I will store the normal ones, and the bolted ones I will use straight away. So if we look at this cluster in the corner, you see that these bulbs are a really good size. All of these are pretty good, and I think they've got good skins on them. See, this is quite dry already. I think when these have dried out properly, these are going to store really well. These, on the other hand, well, you can see the flower spike here, and that's why these have flopped over, but these two that have bolted have not. It's quite variable across the two patches we've got here. There are places where very few have bolted, and then patches like this where quite a few of them have run to seed. So that's a little bit annoying, but there's nothing you can do about it. It's really the weather conditions. So as usual, when lifting these, I'm going to get the trowel right under them and ease them out. I don't want to give them a tug. Oh, they're separating very nicely. Wow, that's a really great size for a shallot. It's rock hard. These are fantastic this year. It's a pity so many of them bolted, but on the other hand, I really can't complain about the quality of those that didn't. They really put some good roots down. Yeah, I'm very happy with those. Now, I'm not going to clean these up much. I'm just rubbing off the worst of the soil. That will brush off easily enough when they are a bit drier. Right, so I'm going to get the rest of those lifted, and I will come back and show you what we've got at the end. So here's one that's bolted, and what I thought I'd do is just open this up and have a look at the problem inside. I'll just cut that across the top. this would have been a really nice bulb. If I remove a bit of this rubbish. So you can see the flower stalk there, and I'm just going to cut straight down through that bulb with a little bit of care. So if I just pull that out. So the problem here is twofold. First, the outside of this flower stalk is really tough, and if you were to just cut the top off and chop this shallot and cook it, this doesn't cook down. It will be hard in the finished dish, and you don't want that. It doesn't really have much effect on the flavour, but it's just a bad texture. The other problem, and the more important one, is this material inside the flower stalk. This is all pithy and wet. So what happens is that this starts to decay very quickly here, and then you get rots come down the neck, and the bulb will be ruined. But there's still a few weeks of life in these, and I'll be able to use these up first. And as you can see, once you've removed the flower spike, there is actually tons of usable material here. Now, if these bulbs were smaller, they wouldn't be nearly so good, but because the bulbs are so big this year, it's not a problem. You can imagine that if you had a shallot bulb that size, which wouldn't be that unusual, and a flower spike through the middle of it, there'll be nothing really worth rescuing. But from these, we're going to get plenty of material here to work with. So I will just put those aside for immediate use. So this is the part of the harvest that hadn't bolted. All of these bulbs are in good condition, and well, to be honest, there's far more than I need here. That's because I went a little bit mad and planted far too many bulbs. Well, apart from quite a few running to seed, I think otherwise these are probably the best shallots I've ever grown. Now, there are a few smaller shallots. Well, this is what I think of as a sort of normal shallot size, at least for a traditional shallot that's grown from a bulb, not those that are started from seed. That's an entirely different animal, but I think this is probably around about the size of the bulbs that I had for planting. Now, they came from seeds of Italy and were, I think, the best shallot sets that I've ever bought. They were in very good condition. They'd been well graded. They were all quite uniform, and they were this sort of size. And when you start with a bulb of that size, rather than something like this, the chances are that this is going to divide into a sensible number of offsets. So I had here a few with just 3 bulbs, but most were 4, 5, 6, not many above that. And I think that's one of the reasons that these have come out quite so big. For a proper shallot, I think this is a really fantastic size, and I don't think I've ever grown such great shallots before. I am absolutely delighted with this harvest, and they're all rock solid, and there's no sign of rots or any problems with them. I think they should dry well and they should store well, and I think they're going to taste pretty good too. Now, it really is worth looking for a supplier of good quality sets to start with. Now, I could save some of these for replanting in the autumn, but actually I have very few this size. Most of them are far too big, and I would worry about these dividing into more offsets than is ideal. And I'm really delighted with the size of these bulbs, but I don't think I want to plant bulbs this size. So I shall be ordering some more of these later in the year. But anyway, that is all for this video. Thanks very much for watching, and bye for now.